Just like the previous PowerPoint presentation from week number 2, module 2, I added to the information that was included in the textbook. So I have a whole bunch of information on here not found in the textbook. So please ensure that you look over that. The main thing that I wanted to briefly touch on in this video is this whole idea here. What did the internet make possible? Well, imagine, right? It's been around since what? Officially for commercial use since 1993, and certainly there's been a lot of changes through the years and even in the last 5 years in what we do with the internet. And the next slide just shows you that everything has been digitized, or pretty much a lot of things. Like, for example, online classes have been around for a while, but yeah, like this online course is an example. We have digitized the whole idea of learning in higher education. So here you are taking this marketing course and everything is digital. And along with that, we touched on this in the previous module, is with the internet and with everything being digital, or many things being digital, that also makes it possible for things to be easily tracked because we leave a digital trail behind, and that gives marketers data, or anybody that deals with digitized stuff have data to help them make decisions, right? So that's what this whole module is about, data-driven decision making. So let me go back to this class. There is a way for me to track what you all are doing. I'm not saying I'm doing it, but it is possible for me to see what pages you're looking at in Blackboard, how much time you're spending, how often you log in, what did you click on, and so on. And that includes the videos I could watch, or I could see from analytics, how many minutes did you watch, where did you stop, where did you start, where did you rewind, how much percent of it did you watch, when did you watch it, what browser. So yeah, I can go on. So that's the kind of stuff that's available for marketers and businesses to make decisions about. And so that leads me to making my way there. Wow, this is a big PowerPoint slide. Here we go. Highlights from chapters 3 and 4. So my personal picks, the parts that I wanted to highlight. Now, of course, to get the full effect, please take a look or read all of chapter 3 and all of chapter 4. Here we go. Introduction to data-driven decision making. The strength of the decisions you make depends on the quality and completeness of the information that informs these decisions. So I just talked about this, or something related to this, a minute ago, about how we can just get all sorts of information from internet traffic, like, and we can gather data from that and make decisions. So if you think about decisions you've made in the past, like knowing all the different moving parts involved in that decision really have a bearing on what decision to make and how that could lead to success or whatever. So it's just a fancy way of saying the more you know, the better you can make a decision. Consumers are influenced by many factors. So here we are as marketers, we're concerned about what our consumers think, because ultimately they will make the purchasing decision. Will they buy it or will they not? And as businesses, we kind of need stuff for people to keep buying our stuff for us to exist, right? Or for us to have our jobs. And consumers are influenced by many things. Psychological, so how are they feeling for the day or the week or the month or the year? There are social and cultural factors to consider, what the society, what this culture consider acceptable. Then there's personal matters like your age, your income, and so on. And then economic factors. So I'm recording this August 2022. So depending on when you're listening to this might be old news, but right now, right, we're dealing with historic levels of inflation, and that's driven the price of practically everything that we buy these days, right? And so that certainly has a bearing, depending on your product or service, that has a bearing on whether people will buy your product or service or not. And with internet enabled devices, how we're able to have all that kind of information, real-time information, that's even more reason for us to be aware of such things. So that's kind of my next slide there. An evolving consumer base means that marketers need real-time data to be effective in engaging with them as individuals. So one way I think of this is, like say you decided you're going to go on vacation somewhere, like let's say you're driving down to the beach in Florida. So you have your starting destination, your ending destination, you have an idea of how to get there. But as you're driving, you might have to make adjustments, right? Based on the data that you're getting. Like if it's raining or storming or whatever, maybe you might want to take a different route or stop for an hour or two while the rain dissipates, the storm passes through. Maybe there's a huge traffic jam on the interstate, so you might want to take country roads. So different things like that. So just with that analogy, it's just about the thing to take away from that is that it's okay to make decisions on the fly, right? If you have relevant and timely information for you to know, oh yeah, this is the best course of action I can take given what I know. Technology. So every new technology embraced by a consumer offers brands new ways to reach consumers and to collect information about them. So one example I thought of to add to this conversation and this whole idea of technology adoption is think about the recent experience that we had with the COVID-19 pandemic. So here I said it better, my older self said it better. Think about all the ways brands have spent more time at home due to recent pandemic protocols and the resulting work from home routines, or really just staying at home routines. So I put a few examples here. Samsung and really Apple and other makers of laptops and tablets, they've seen an increase in sales because people need these devices to work from home or to go to school and get things done from home. And then certain things were made available or more acceptable, like telemedicine, or really, like I put on here, everything tele. So let's look at higher education. I know during the pandemic, some universities, like the one I came from, it's been to where some professors have made themselves more available beyond the 8 o'clock or 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. time. Like they made themselves available beyond that. I know certain services like student success, counseling, and things of that nature, things that normally operated in person from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. now became, more accessible via tele meetings, via Zoom or whatever, or even after hours. And then we've also seen more engagement by brands via social media. I remember this part right here, live concerts. There were so many. I just go to YouTube and there's this artist doing a concert live from home. You can see their home, they're playing their guitar, they're taking requests from the audience live, from social media. E-commerce exploded, right? People were doing all their shopping from home. It was easier for brands to expand their distribution by making their products or services products available in channels like Amazon or Walmart, walmart.com. And then last item I put on there, realtors. What about realtors connecting with customers with the shift in our perception of home? So home became our all-in-one. It became our workplace, gym, restaurant, school, and it still continues to be like that at varying degrees as we're transitioning from pandemic protocols, right? So I've recently just been looking at homes, and I know many of these houses that I've looked at, especially the new constructions, they offer a bonus room or an office or like just something that highlights, oh, hey, if you buy this house, you have this extra space where you can do that stuff. You'll have a room for an office, or you'll have a room for your gym equipment. Look at this nice kitchen. It's got a scully or whatever, a big pantry, so you could have your place where you could cook, and so on. Oh, and it's got Google Fiber or this technology, so you could have broadband internet. So that's what I have for technology. Last item I want to talk about is the importance of market research. So it helps brands and products stay relevant by meeting customers' needs despite the unpredictability of the modern world. So remember what I said in a previous slide, consumers are influenced by many factors, and not just consumers, everybody, right? There's things that are out of our control, like economic factors. And I wanted to just throw out 4 terms right here. Primary research. So this is data that's gathered from new data gathered from consumers or businesses via surveys, focus groups, etc. Secondary research would be just looking at existing published data like census data, economic data, things of that nature. So it wasn't necessarily, this data was not necessarily collected for your purposes, but if it's out there and it can support your research that you're doing, well, that's where secondary research can come in. And then there's 2 types of data. There's quantitative, which is about numbers. So it relies on statistical data. And then qualitative data is more about words, not so much numbers. So we explore what consumers think and feel through the questions that we ask. And sometimes, depending on the study and what you're trying to figure out, it could be that you're doing a mixed method type of study where maybe you're doing both at the same time. You're exploring quantitative data and qualitative data, or maybe you start with qualitative data and then that informs what type of quantitative data to further research, or the other way around. Maybe you could start with quantitative data and then from that you'll know what kind of qualitative research to follow. All right, that's what I got for this module.